friends and welcome to my channel IB All Listening Developer. So like you all know that previously we have started a new tutorial series of C++ in which we have covered up really different things, and I hope you enjoy all tutorials which we have covered up yet in this C++ series. Like you all know that previously we were working on loops and we have covered up different loops in C++. So today I'll be telling you that what are for each loop in C++, how you can use these loops, where to use these loops, and what are the elements you have to use when you're using for each loop in C++. Like already we have learned that what are while loops, then we have also learned like do while loop, and we have also learned about nested loop, all the loops, and for loops as well. So we'll be learning about for each loop as well, like how to use these loops, where to use, and what is different in this loop from the other loops which we have learned. So everything I'll be telling you about for each loop in this video. So I hope you'll be enjoying this video from start. So if you enjoy this video and if you understand this amazing tutorial here, so remember to hit a like, and if you're new on this channel, want to see more videos like that, so remember to subscribe, and after subscribing, hit notification bell so you can get the notifications of all my coming up videos which I'll be uploading on this channel. So now what we are waiting for, let's move to computer screen and let's get started. So now here we are on the computer screen, and like I've told you in the start that today we are working on for each loop, and I'll be telling you that what are for each loop in C++ and how you can use it. Like if we talk about for each loop here, so there is also a for each loop also known as range based for loop, which is used executively to loop through elements in an array or data structures. If we see this paragraph here, so in short it is just saying is that we use for each loop because it is also called as range based for loop, and it is used executively to loop through elements. Like if we want to loop anything through elements in an array or in data structures, so we will be using this for each loop there. If we just see a syntax that how you can use for each loop, so for that obviously you have to add this for keyword in start like we do in for loop as well. Then after that you have to create this parenthesis in which you have to write your variable name. After writing the variable name, you have to create this semicolon, and then you have to create an array name. You can give any of your variable name or array name you want. Just give the name which you can remember, like so you can give the name here like you want, and after doing this thing you can create these curly brackets, and then you can start writing your code block which you want to be executed like we do in while loop, do while loop, and for loop. So like this you have to do same thing in for each loop as well, but difference will be that in parenthesis you have to first of all write the variable name, semicolon, and then in the end you have to write the array name but in parenthesis, so that we can run these two things, and then in the end the code block will be also executed. If you want to see the example, so the following example outputs all elements in an array using a for each loop. So this is an example of for each loop. Like I have created one integer and a variable of my numbers in which I have written a number 5 in square brackets. Then I have created a equal to sign, and in curly brackets I have written values 10 to 50. And after writing these values, I have again created a for statement in which I have written a variable name which is init here. And then after writing variable name, I have created a semicolon and I have written the array name here. So my array name is my numbers, which I have defined at the top and here as well. So when I'm writing this curly bracket and running this, so the output you will be getting will be really different here. So we will be now seeing that what output we are getting, but before doing that we need to understand a note which is written here. So don't worry if you don't understand the example above, you will learn more about arrays in C++ arrays chapter. The for each loop was introduced in C++ version 11 2011. So it is the same thing. It is just saying is that if you don't understand this example, so you don't have to worry about anything, because in future we will be learning about arrays in which we will be covering up these things again, so that you can understand more clearly that what are for each loop and how you can use it. But we need to understand and start as well with short examples, so you can just have a good idea that how you can use for each loop when you're using it with for loops or with do while or while loops here. So what I'm going to do is I'll be just copying this example here, and I will Chrome, and after doing this I will be just now moving to Repl it here. So what I'm going to do is I'll be moving to Repl it, and after doing it I'll be just moving to Repl here which I have already created. Then I will be just now removing this nested loops here, and I'll be giving the title of new REPL which I have to create. So I'll be writing here for each loop in C++ like this, and then you have to just press enter here. After pressing enter, you can just see we have created a REPL with the name of for each loops in C++, and now you can just see it is running. So we have to wait a while till our REPL is just working on, so that we can then start working with it here. So now what I'm going to do is I will be just writing first of all the starting codes here. So in start I'll be writing include IOStream, and after doing it I will be just moving down, and after moving down I will be writing using namespace std, and then here you have to write init main. So after doing this init main I will be just making this curly bracket, sorry, this parenthesis, and then make this curly bracket here and move down. After moving down I will be just now pasting all the things which I have copied here, and after doing this I have to also return a value as 0 so that we can get this thing running perfectly fine, because if I don't write this return 0, so I can get an error as well. But I think you will be not getting any error if you don't write this, because right now you're using your program in Replit here. So what I'm going to do is I'll be simply running this here to see what output I'm getting when I'm using the same things here which I have used already with while, do while and for loop. So when I'm using this thing with for each loop, so what output I'm getting. So what I'm going to do is I'll be just simply pressing this run button, and you can see the simple output we are getting is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. These are the values printed, because right now I have just only written these 5 values here, these 5 values you can just say, because I want that these values should be printed in my output, and we are getting these numbers because I have printed here I want 5 numbers and in my output. But if I change it to 3, so you will be only getting the starting 3 numbers, which will be 10, 20 and 30, because right now this 40 and 50 is not being defined in the numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'll be simply pressing run, and after pressing run we are getting an expected error. Why we are getting an error? Because right now we are using only 3 numbers, and then we are defining 40 here. So if I remove this 40 now, then if I run it again, so we will be again getting an error. Why we are getting an error? Because we are using 50. We don't have to use 50 because I have only defined 3 numbers here. So I will be just now doing one thing, I'll be removing this 50 as well. Now if I run, so you will be getting only 3 values, 10, 20 and 30 running, because we have only written here 3 numbers. If I change it to 10, so now you have to define 10 values here, then you will be getting the output. If I run it here, so you will be getting these values in 0. Why we are getting these values 0? Because right now I have not written any value here. Remember, when you want to add the value, so you can increase the number, but if you want to decrease the value, so you can do that, but for doing that you need to remove the values as well which you have written already in your parenthesis, because if you don't do that you will be getting an error like we were getting when we were just getting the value of 40 and 50, and when we changed the value 5 to 3, so we were getting an error in 40 that this number is not defined. So why you are writing that? So like that, when you are writing these 10 values here, so these all other values are coming 0 because we have not defined it. But if I change the value here to 40, so this is 4, then this is 5, this is 6, this is 7, this is 8, this is 9, and this is 10. So these are the things which we are getting. Now if I run, so you will be getting all the things printed 10 from 100. So I will be pressing run. You can just see we are getting all the things printed here 10 till 100 like this, and we are getting our output as well. So I hope you understand that how we are using for each loops here, and how you can use for each loop when you're starting with it in C++. So it is a really different thing, because normally when we use these things in for loops or in while or do while loops, so we will be getting the same output. But thing is that if I remove the numbers to 3, so you will be not getting this output. You will be only getting 3 output, means 3 starting code, means 3 starting values which you have written, but you will be not getting any error like we are getting in for each loop right now when we are decreasing the value to the different numbers. Like if I want to print these 3 numbers, so you will be getting error on these all numbers, and you will be getting an error in your output as well like this. So when you will be doing same thing with while loop, do while loop or for loop, you will be not getting any error. But when you're doing this thing with for each loop, so obviously you're getting error, because for each loop does not define any false value. It need to be true. If the statement is true, then it will be running. If the statement is false, so it will be showing you an error in your output, and that's the thing. So I hope you understand how we are using for each loop here and how we are getting the output running. And if you haven't understand more about for each loop right now, so don't be worried about it. In future videos when we will be covering about arrays, I will be telling you about everything that you need to learn for each loop and how you can cover it. But already we have learned about loops in many previous videos, so I hope you have a clear mindset about for each loop, like how we can use it and what is the way to use it, where to use it, all the things. So if you have understand this video and if you enjoy that, how we can use for each loop here in C++, so remember to hit a like to this video. And if you're new on this channel, want to see more videos like that, so remember to subscribe, and after subscribing, hit notification bell so you can get the notifications of all my coming up videos which I will be uploading on this channel. So just I will be meeting you in next project or in next tutorial video using these all amazing programming languages like C++. So for today, good, bye.